guys, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy and SuperCoach video. In this video, I'll be going through and doing a player review of Will Ashcroft. I think he's one of the ones that is a little bit up in the air, and this is why I wanted to sort of start with him rather than the likes of like a Clayton Oliver, etc. and others, just because we're talking about more natural development rather than the likes of a historical value or anything like that you get with Clayton Oliver and other guys. So I think that's why I wanted to start with the likes of a Will Ashcroft compared to others. So anyway, let's just jump into this here. So Will Ashcroft priced at 441k, which I believe, if I just go quickly down, is in and around that 80 marker or so, 82 on this, on SuperCoach, and 82 on Fantasy. So it's priced the exact same on both platforms, so an easy distinction there. 843k on Fantasy and also 441k on SuperCoach. Now, if we look at his player stats here, let me just bring them up for you. I forgot to quickly key it in, but here we go. You'll see a very, very similar, and I will also just do this as well here so that we have his SuperCoach numbers. You can see in his debut year, 82.9, and then in his second year, an adjusted 86.6 on Fantasy. If we go to the reasoning why in 2023, you'll see one injured game if you actually take that injured game out. I have a feeling you'll find him in and around that sort of 84 marker. Give or take a few, and then we'll go back after doing his SuperCoach. So you see 84.1, and then once we go through this, I'll show you his junior numbers, and then I'll show you sort of what the CBA mix is, and we'll go through what we can sort of expect out of him in 2025. So 84.1, if we go to his SuperCoach numbers in the exact same year and go down, I have a feeling you will find that his numbers are awfully similar. If we just go down quickly and grab up all of these results here, you'll see 86.2. So he was going at 86.2 there. And then you can see very, very similar in the 2024 season, which is really good to see that he did very, very similar numbers in that as well. If we just go to that as well, you'll see that adjusted regular season 81.9, and then adjusted for his massive finals campaign, where in the finals he went at, I think it was all those ones, if I remember correctly. No, they played all four. So 103.3. And then in the AFL finals, he for Fantasy, he went at, what is it here, 91. So you can kind of see the difference in the platforms, or at least the difference in that the SuperCoach, he went a little bit higher at the 103, whereas in Fantasy he went 91. It's very, very intriguing. So you have all that. Then we look at his, his junior numbers aren't as impactful now as we know what he's done in the AFL. But you can see that in his 14 games in his last junior year, he went 117. If we look at 2021, is probably going to be your best bet to look at what Dacos was doing. Dacos was doing 136. Connor McDonald as well, 121, which probably just shows a circumstance rather than anything else. And then Josh Ward also 108. So you just kind of have these guys all doing in and around the same. Is there anyone from the 2022 class doing a very awfully similar? You can see Elijah Sardis at 115, Jay Clark 101, and Bailey Humphrey at 100. So there are guys around him in the league at the moment that are also kind of struggling from that 2022 class to get up to full primo. I mean, it was just their second year. Now we go to Brisbane and their CBAs in 2024, and you look at here, Will Ashcroft 33%, and you see that there wasn't really much change, I would say, throughout the year. Let's just go to his 2023 campaign as well, just to show you guys this as well. 2023, you can see 44%. So he actually had more CBAs in 2023 than he had in 2024, CBA percentages that is. So what is the go with him? Obviously he does have the round 3 bye, which is a little bit annoying because even though he's in a different line, you're going to have Levi Ashcroft probably there you're going to have potentially a Mitch Nevitt there. You're going to have potentially an Angus Sheldrick there. And I'm just talking about the rookies there. But when you start to think about all the rookies that we're considering in that line, if we go to, not that, I mean, this sort of gives us a little bit more. Kitty Coleman potentially set back. I have a feeling these are the same exact ones here. Yeah, they're the same exact ones. Yeah, okay. But you have here Will Ashcroft pushing himself at training, so big year. I also heard reports that he was had shoulder surgery or something with regards to that, so he was in the rehab group, but looks fine at the moment. So there's no worry about him actually not playing. But if we just look at the round 3 bye players, if we look at them, we go Brisbane, we go Geelong, we go Sydney is one of them. Where's the last team? I'm missing a team here. Collingwood, it is. So if we look at all them and we look at midfielders, because this will sort of show you, and this goes cross-platform, both Fantasy and SuperCoach. I just found that SuperCoach is probably the easiest way to look at it because you can split these up a little bit more effectively. Will Ashcroft, he can go. You'll have here, most people won't start any of the primos, but let's just look at the mid prices here and the rookies that you're looking at. So if we go if we just go down there, 445k, give or take, that should be fine. So you've got guys like potentially a Bailey Smith in the forward line already, so that's already 1. You're going to have guys like Callum Mills, that's already 2. I don't even know where Callum Mills... Oh yeah, this is just with midfield eligibility actually. So, but even so, you have Callum Mills there as well. That's already 2 guys out. So you're already covering with 2 rookie scores, and we know that rookie scores tend to drop off gradually, or sort of more progressively, I would say, especially if you're dropping off a lot of off midfield lines like forwards and defenders. They drop off dramatically. So you sort of leave yourself a little bit, and then obviously you're going to have Levi Ashcroft. You're probably going to have Mitch Nevitt. You potentially have Angus Sheldrick. That's already 3 potential round 3 bye players that are already on your bench, if not on your field, in the midfield alone. So you may have 5, 6, 7 type of guys, and we know that the rookies generally are profitable to have on the early bye because they get that double jump very early in their price cycle. That's for Fantasy, but for SuperCoach, these guys will get to the price jump the quickest, like that of Sheldrick, Levi Ashcroft, and Mitch Nevitt. You probably want to hold them through that buy as well, so you're not going to be trading them necessarily. So that's just a very intriguing thing to me, is that he kind of falls perfectly in the no-go zone, and that you can wait just because of all this surrounding him. You may get a Harry Di Mattia debut, and is there anyone else here? No one else here that I really like the look of getting an early debut for the rookies, but you've got this clump of 3 in Levi, his brother, Angus Sheldrick, and Mitch Nevitt that I really think get a debut early, or get their, well, I guess you could say season debut for Nevitt and Sheldrick, and their actual professional debut for Levi Ashcroft. So that's just a little bit of an awkward situation that you've got those 3, plus you've already got those 3 guys. You've got a Bailey Smith, you've got a Callum Mills, you've potentially got another guy in the back line. I don't know exactly, maybe a Perryman, for example. If we just go and we filter this for defenders, for instance. You've got potentially a Matty Roberts, you've got Callum Mills, you've got a Sam De Koning potentially, if he's playing ruck. So you're already getting up there to potentially 2 or 3 on the defensive line. Bailey Smith in the forward line alongside potentially Caden Cleary. Potentially another guy's just off the top of my head, just looking down here. You're probably looking at the rookies actually at this point. Caden Cleary, potentially Ben Patton plays as well. If the likes of Callum Mills gets that midfield role. And there's probably going to be someone from Geelong that gets an early start. Out of their sort of basement price players in terms of SuperCoach and Fantasy Des. So you're already looking at 2 on the midfield line, 2 on the forward line, 3 also, or 2 on the defensive line, and then you've got sort of 2 or 3 already on the midfield line. There's not really, you're already down to about, 22, 23 players. You've only got like 4 covering scores, and some of those are going to be in SuperCoach you'll have that flex position, etc., that you'll have another guy that you can sort of burn off. But you're already getting down to only having sort of 4 covering rookie scores, and some of those are going to be the forward line F8s, F7s that you would usually be like, I hope they get a 40 or 50 for cash gen, and suddenly that's sort of like potentially one of your dropout scores. So this is why I think having a Will Ashcroft is really, really dangerous, especially if you want those sort of high-owned players, and that's why I think he's going to be a pod throughout the year, and that's why is at 27% owned. I think when people realize that he's going to go down in ownership. If we look at here, and I just want to duplicate it, I just want to see his ownership and see which way it's sort of trending at the moment. If I go down here, because I'm definitely in the no camp, because you get Clayton Oliver for pretty much the same exact price on both platforms. I would hazard a guess what is, one second here, what's his price along here, because I know he's 450k. Yeah, Clayton Oliver is within 10 to sort of 50k on both platforms, within about 5 to 10 points on both platforms, and I just think that is a lot more easy to stomach with him having no early buy and being able to almost cover the scores that you drop off, rather than if I go to Ashcroft here, he hopefully is going to pop up, 27% for Will, and that's slowly going down. If I go zoom out also, you'll see on the 10th of Jan, it was 28.8. So he's slowly going down he's going down, 1.5 over the course of 20 days. So he's going down, 0.07% per day on average, give or take. He's actually trended up in the last little bit, which is quite weird, I would say. That's not going to work. How the heck do you work this? Is a big... let me just see. Get this up a little bit. There we are. Okay, this this ownership thing is a little bit awkward. Oh, I'm so far zoomed in that it's just by minutes almost at that point. Anyway, you can just see it that it's slowly, it's not really moving too much. He's sitting around that 27%. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes down a lot as we sort of move closer and closer to the season. But then again, you could also say he needs to, it's going to be very dependent on his round 0. Round 0, if he pops a 120, it's going to be hard to not go with him. But then again, you're probably then going to have to go against some of the rookies and hope that probably an Angus Sheldrick and a Mitch Nevitt don't debut, because then you may even have to go against Levi Ashcroft, which could be hard to go against. But if Levi drops a stinker in round 0, then it's a lot easier to pass on him and go for Will Ashcroft. So, a lot of this does depend on round 0, but Will Ashcroft, his numbers, jumping on a natural development play is just a lot harder to predict. And I know that I've said that countless times, and I know that this is... that is the value indicator that I go on least. You may see it on 1 or 2 of the guys that I do it on, but a lot of the time for me, and this is just fancy in general, is jumping on position changes, jumping on guys that have had injuries, jumping on discount value. And Will Ashcroft does have a little bit of discount value. We know he's priced at 82. No, he doesn't actually have any discount value, playing 13 games. He played... Sorry, let me double actually. He does have technically discount value, but if you actually look at it, because he's got 9 games at 84.5, so on a technicality standpoint, he's priced at 81.965, which is 81.9 here. So he's priced on 97% of this, which is dead on this. So he's basically priced at his same price point, but on the technicality, he's a discount. So, given that, it's just hard for me personally to say that he's going to go back up in this midfield. If we go back to this, he's going to go back to a midfield that's got Neil Dunkley, McCluggage, as well as Zach Bailey's percentage. I want to just look at this as well, quickly, just to check his... So you've got Zach Bailey, who's dropped down 10%. Cam Rayner's also spent some more time up into 22%. And this is why I kind of need this duplicated, so I can flick between these two very quickly. Get rid of this. 2023, I want to look at Cam Rayner's percentage. If we look at Cam Rayner, 8%, and Zach Bailey, 23. Then we look at, and that is 31%. Then we look at Zach Bailey, 13, and Cam Rayner, 22. That's 35%. So those two are still taking 35%. Jared Berry as well had a brief stint, but I don't think that will hold, to be honest. Jared Berry, where is he? He was at 6%, basically 2 or 3 games where he played a little bit. So having said all that, Neil 86%, that is a ridiculous percentage, and he's held that. Oscar McInerney doesn't matter. Dunkley at 80, he was at 80% last year, so he's held exactly dead on. Hugh McCluggage, 59%. He went up a little bit. Is that sort of in tandem with the injury? I'd hazard a guess. Let me just look at that in general. It looks to me that was that didn't rely on it. So it looks like he was playing fourth. And he kind of needs, I would say, Will Ashcroft here. If we look at this and go up a little bit for you guys, the numbers don't really change at all in terms of any one of these guys playing less time directly from Will Ashcroft. If you actually look at the numbers, I'm trying to actually see if there's any bump. I would say Jared Berry alongside Cam Rayner is probably the little bump. This combination here probably jumps from, 38, 33, 30s, 50s. So that combination of Rayner and Berry alongside Zach Bailey probably jumps from about 70%, give or take, in most games, 70% CBAs, down to probably, you would look at this now and say that's about 30, 40. So he's mostly, if you actually look at the numbers in terms of CBAs, he's mostly taking it out of Cam Rayner and Zach Bailey and getting Cam Rayner, Zach Bailey, and also Jared Berry. So he's taking those fourth banana CBAs from the split from Rayner, Berry, and Bailey and taking it pretty much for himself. And you can see that their numbers go from 70, 80% per game of CBA time down to like 40, 30, as you see here for those on YouTube. So that's where his numbers have been coming from in 2024. If we look at 2023 and we look at the changes here, you'll see it is mostly Hugh McCluggage that did benefit in 2023. And I think Hugh had a really big breakout year in the last couple of years if we look at his numbers itself. So I don't know if they'll necessarily, let me just check here, what was his sort of numbers as I've already 2022, he actually had a better year in 2022. So he's actually back at his 2022 numbers, which sort of shows that Will Ashcroft is taking it off the sort of part-time midfielders, I would say. So again, it all points to the fact that he's probably going to be the fourth guy in the midfield, unless something drastically changes and Hugh McCluggage goes forward or something like that, which could happen. Hugh McCluggage has kicked goals before, but yeah, I just don't see how he gets that number up dramatically high. And at the moment, until we see Lachie Neale start to slow down, which doesn't seem that that's possible. Maybe Lachie Neale, if we look at the 2022 CBAs. If we look at 2022, Lachie Neale's still 85. Look at 2021, he's still going to be 80 plus, isn't he? 83. So maybe Lachie Neale slows down a little bit, takes some more time on the bench, and that's where Will gets 10%. But I just don't see it at the moment, him getting that extra bump. So I just don't see him really. It's hard really to bank on direct natural improvement of 15 points. When if we even look at the player summary here, if you look at his grand final performance, it was a 109. If we look at the semi-final performance or the prelim or whatever, it was a 70, 109 the week before, and then a 76. He's averaging 91 across 4 games. That's not good enough for what we want out of him. If we look at the back end of the year and we start adding in games here, you would have to 7-game sample size right after a 54 for him to be valuable at 99.9. And then we look back a little bit further because you can't just take the top end games and then just take out a little bit further. If we generate that back down to 10-game sample sizes, back to 89. So I just think you're banking on full natural improvement, which can happen, but with the circumstances at hand, with the likes of the early buy happening, and him playing in that round 3, which is the most dangerous bye itself, I would rather, because in SuperCoach you're going to get one price cycle rise, because he'll have played the 3 games, round 0, round 1, round 2. And in Fantasy, you're going to get the double and then round 2 as well. So you're going to get effectively 3 price rises there in Fantasy, but it will be 2. It'll be 3 different ones. Well, 2 different ones, sorry, but 3 effective. I just have a feeling that he's not going to go up in price. And I'm actually just going to show one more thing to show you guys that fact of the matter before we finish off this episode here. Or this video. Fantasy price projector. Say he goes, let's just say for a fact that he's going to go 100. If I just go to Ashcroft here, if we say he's going to go 100, you're going to say he's going to be at 912 if he goes 100 through the first 3 weeks, which is 70k. 70k isn't the worst to get to, and that's by round 4. So, and he'll be priced at effectively about a 90, give or take at that point. Actually, just below 90, 89.5 or so, 89 I would say. It's what he's roughly going to be priced at that point. So he's going to be priced at roughly 89.5 so he's going to go up about 7 points of value or so. So he's still very, very gettable. And so I wonder what this does. Does this help or anything? No, I don't know what that does exactly. But yes, so you have Will Ashcroft there at 843k, whereas you have other guys there that are going to be in and around the same price point, but don't have the early buy. And I just feel like you could easily, if Clayton Oliver's not working and Will Ashcroft is, after the buy, just swap him. Swap him with a rookie that's going to have gained 100k. I showed you yesterday that Elijah Hewitt would do that in 2 or 3 weeks. Jake Hutchinson or whatever would do it in 2-3 weeks as well. Forget what his exact name is. Hutchinson. Let me just search that up for you guys. Jack Hutchinson. Yep. So you've got that where these rookies are going to go up so quickly, and I'll show you this exactly with Levi himself, who is a lot easier to sort of show. Levi Ashcroft here, 328k. If he magically goes sort of 60, he'll be up 116k or whatever for a 60. If he goes what we're projecting, which is somewhere around that 70 marker, that rises to 150k. Suddenly you've just covered off the Ashcroft rise so easily with Levi going 70. So that's what I'm saying with these guys, that I feel like he's going to be the player that you fix up rather than you start. So you wait, and I know he's 27%. He's going to go down, I feel like. Obviously, we'll have the round 0, but if he goes poorly in round 0, if we go back to Ashcroft here, Will Ashcroft, and we said 80, we said 100, but then we say he goes, say, 90 in round 0. Look at this change. Suddenly, it's only 896. For him going, what's that, 290 across 3 rounds, that's about a 96. So he's gone 96, but he's done it in an awkward order, and he's suddenly only gone up 50k for that. If we even drop this to him having his blanket average here, and suddenly he basically doesn't improve in terms of price point. So yeah, I just have a feeling he's going to be a fix-up rather than, because you're only getting actually 2 scores out of him as well. So in 3 rounds, is his 260 effective points, if he goes at 100, is it really going to be that worthwhile? 260 points or so. I don't think it is, because you're not going to get much cash then out of him that early. So because say I'm under the assumption here that he averages 100 in both games, or sorry, goes at 100 in round 1 and round 2, and then has a 60-point covering score in round 3. Is 260 points and 50k price cash gen really going to be more impactful than a Clayton Oliver or a Trent Rivers, a give or take? Trent Rivers, same price, no early buy. If Trent Rivers goes at 86, he covers it very, very easily. So that's what I'm saying, and you don't have to worry about an early buy or anything like that. So that's what I'm saying about Will Ashcroft. I'm currently in the no camp because of, I think there's just too many, and this is how I work out a lot of my fantasy stuff, is just how many pros and how many cons are there. And I just feel like with Will Ashcroft, he's got probably I mean, his grand final performance is probably a pro. His finals performance probably a pro, you'd say. But then he's got the cons of being on the worst early bye. He has that early bye itself, which is almost another con itself. You're working with natural improvement rather than sort of a positional change or a discount or anything like that. As well as the fact that there's just other guys around there that doesn't. That's sort of the early bye itself. But then again, you're already looking at like 3 negatives there for 2 positives, and that's why I work out the fact that I don't want to necessarily start Will Ashcroft. But anyway, that is the video there. And if you did enjoy it, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on. If you are listening on Spotify, give me a follow and a rating over there. And I will see you guys tomorrow for probably another player review. Bye, guys.